The Democrats in the House Oversight Committee have announced that they are heading to Palm Beach, Florida next week. It is a place that obviously houses Donald Trump, but it was also central to Jeffrey Epstein's heinous crimes. The Democrats will be hosting a field hearing with many of the survivors of Epstein's abuse, along with crucial witnesses to the investigation. Palm Beach is, of course, where Epstein received that controversial sweetheart deal in 2008 that allowed him to keep abusing women for more than a decade longer. It is also, as we said, home to Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago club, where Epstein is known to have frequented before that plea deal. And as the Wall Street Journal reported late last year, Trump's club was, quote, sending spa employees, usually young women, to Epstein's nearby mansion for massages, manicures, and other spa services. That's according to former Mar-a-Lago and Epstein employees. I want to bring into our coverage Democratic Congressman Robert Garcia of California. He is the ranking member of the House Oversight Committee. Alex is here with me as well. Congressman, just take me inside your strategy for the field hearing.
Look, this is going to be a very important part of our investigation, and it's also really important that we hear directly from survivors. And so at the center of our hearing is really going to be giving the survivors an opportunity in their own words and in a hearing format to be able to share their stories and put them into the record and to be able to answer questions from the committee. Now, we have been saying for many months that it's important that at the end of the day, this is about centering the survivors and their stories. We've also heard that people want to hear these stories in a hearing format. Republicans have up to now refused to do so. And so we're hosting this hearing in Palm Beach, one of the key locations in this investigation, to allow these survivors to tell their stories and to hear, of course, from others. It's also important to know that there is so much reporting about what was actually happening at Mar-a-Lago and the connections to Jeffrey Epstein. Of course, all of the work that so many lawyers put in place to then only get overturned by Alex Acosta, the then U.S. attorney in the actual prosecution of Jeffrey Epstein, that we feel that this hearing in Palm Beach is going to be an important moment in this broader investigation.
Congressman, it's Alex Wagner. There's some reporting in Politico today that the Oversight Committee members are split on whether to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell in order to get her to testify. Can you shed any light on that and what the over-under is on something like that happening?
I mean, completely outrageous. I can tell you that without a doubt that every single Democratic member of the committee opposes a pardon strongly. We are united. We have been in opposing a pardon. And the fact that there's reports now that there are Republicans on our committee that support a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell is just broadly leads and takes us to essentially them being part of a massive cover-up. I mean, why would you want Ghislaine Maxwell, who's a known liar, a sex trafficker, someone who abused women and children herself, to get a pardon? We still have no answers as to why she was moved to a less secure prison. Why is the now acting AG meeting with Ghislaine Maxwell? And so these are questions that the DOJ has still refused to respond to. And the fact that now Republicans want a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell, I mean, it's wrong, it's shameful, and it's so disrespectful to the survivors who have, by the way, come out strongly opposing a pardon.
Congressman, the survivors have described in excruciating detail her participation in the sexual assaults. What do Republicans say could possibly explain ahead of a midterms where they're predicted to be wiped out politically for pardoning a child rapist?
I think that, I mean, look, what you're hearing in some of the reporting or from folks on the committee is that, you know, apparently some of them think that if they pardon Ghislaine Maxwell, I mean, perhaps that they could get more information in the investigation. It's just ridiculous. I can make my assumptions as to why they want a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell. It's clear. Why was she moved to a less secure prison? I mean, look, someone doesn't want Ghislaine Maxwell to tell the full story. Someone or some folks, maybe some of these members of Congress, maybe others at the White House, are trying to keep Ghislaine Maxwell from incriminating certain people in this massive sex trafficking ring. Ghislaine Maxwell has an enormous amount of information. And I want to remind folks that we tried to get her to testify already. She pled the fifth. She won't speak. Yet she continues to say that she wants a pardon from the president. And the Oversight Committee members on the Republican side continue to dangle that as a possibility. We should be very clear, no pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell. She should tell the truth under oath. And we were going to continue, including in Palm Beach, and getting the survivors out in front to tell their stories directly to the American public.
Congressman, when you see Donald Trump's plunging poll numbers, and you look at the now 9-year pattern of Trump sort of having a political collapse, and you track his conduct, his go-to moves are typically more authoritarian in nature. And as if on cue, there was an indictment of Jim Comey for posting a message that many members inside the MAGA coalition have also posted on social media. Do you become more concerned as you go about your aggressive work in investigating Epstein and Maxwell that Trump will sic DOJ on you?
Sure. I mean, I'm sure he will likely do that. It's part of this job. If you're going to take on Donald Trump, he's going to attack you, and he weaponizes the DOJ. Look, I had the U.S. attorney, 8-9 months ago, send me a letter saying he was investigating me for criticizing Elon Musk. So this is what Donald Trump does. He weaponizes the DOJ. He goes after his political enemies. But I think those of us on oversight and doing these investigations, we all have to have courage in this moment. We have to stand up to this wannabe king and this wannabe dictator. I mean, Donald Trump is obsessed with political retribution and going after his political enemies. And we're seeing that, of course, in this case and in others. But it's important that members of Congress, that members in the media, that those that are judges in our courts, that we stand by the Constitution and the people and do the right thing. And fortunately, a vast majority of these court decisions are actually breaking and coming on the side of justice and actually doing the right thing. So I expect that will continue. And Donald Trump, we're going to continue to investigate the corruption. That ain't going to stop.